I got to visit the set a few years ago when you guys were doing construction in Hobbiton. How has it changed over the last few years to make it an even better experience for visitors?
Massively. Obviously, we've had the opportunity on the back of the work that Peter's done, and probably the best decision we ever made was doing a joint venture with Peter. So it's given us access to a lot of the technology, or not the technology, but the number one thing is actually the people like Brian Massey that helped create this. And we've developed the set now into a living tourist attraction, if you like, and trying to capture and do justice to everything that was done in the movies and Peter created for Hobbiton for the movies. We've now tried to recreate and create Middle Earth for New Zealand effectively, and it's quite a humbling experience now. And we have 44 Hobbit holes. We have a green dragon. I don't think that was built when you came through a few years ago.
I was inside when the construction was going on,
right? And
I thought, oh, this is going to be a pretty special place.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I've worked there for many hours, and every time I go there, it's still, to be honest, very humbling and puts goosebumps on my neck that I was involved in it. So yeah, a lot of pride, and to be honest, I've never got sick of it.
I was mentioning to you off camera when we were talking before, I guess it's part of the tour. You get to go in the bar, have a drink, either eat. So how many people have tried to just camp out all day and said, I'm just going to stay?
A lot would love to do that. I don't know how many have tried, but it's now a popular place within New Zealand, and people want to visit. That, it's a guided tour, so we can't allow, because everyone wants to experience it, and so everyone can get the experience and have a taste of it. It has to be in a controlled fashion, unfortunately, but we like to think we've managed it in a way that everyone gets to get a slice of Middle Earth effectively and experience New Zealand and what the scenery and landscapes provide, and why it got chosen, and why New Zealand's such a beautiful place.
For people that are going to be going, is there an Easter egg or two that you want to tell them to sort of look out for that maybe isn't just mentioned on the guided tour? It's like, more private. Or is everything mentioned?
I think most things are mentioned. What we try to do is everything is, tell as many stories that's behind the scenes as much as we can, that people get appreciation of what was involved in making a major movie. So we're mixing, my goal is to be mixing storytelling along with education, so people come out with informed of another industry and what's involved and what Peter did and what New Zealand's done as a whole country.
One of the things that I took away, and you can see it in the backdrop behind you, is that I know for Lord of the Rings everything was built to maybe last like an afternoon, and with The Hobbit you guys rebuilt everything to make it last like 100 years. Can you sort of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. With the Hobbit coming back, obviously gave us the second bite of the cherry, and then when Peter approached us and said that he wanted to come back and remake Hobbiton for the Hobbit, we only had one thing in mind, and it was make it permanent. So obviously from our point of view that complicated negotiations with Warner, which the first time around it was New Line Cinemas, and simultaneously we were working with Peter to form this joint venture, and from my point of view it was quite a tricky process to work through to make sure that we got to have this everlasting Hobbiton set, and gave the opportunity for Warners to create what they wanted to create Hobbiton for the movie. So, and although it needed a lot of patience by people, and it was a difficult process, I thought, from a personal person that hadn't dealt with these things before, I think the end result has been absolutely fantastic, and we've got some wonderful partnerships now, and that, the end result is here we are in London with a real set that we brought up from New Zealand. And
yeah, by the way, it's crazy because you can't tell on camera, but you smell the grass. You smell this environment, which obviously you'll never know on camera. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was quite an exercise. It was something that was done very late in the piece, and we've worked around the clock, and a bunch of talented Kiwis, and the guys that have been with me in Hobbiton for the last, well, it's been a 16-year journey, but have created this where it's real timber coming into Claridge's. And when we had this idea, well, if we're going to come to London with a Hobbit hole, we've got to do it justice.
Yeah,
and I had heard, I don't know whether it's true, that there's stories that you can't normally bring a lot of extra props and things in, and we sort of said we're bringing a bit of a Hobbit hole, and coming up the back stairwell and up the lift, we cringed if they really knew what was going on. And then I think the general manager's been through and thinks it's quite neat now, but I think if they saw and knew the real story before we started, we might have come a little bit unstuck. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they really knew what they were getting, but it's really effing awesome. My last question for you, because my last question, obviously it is so popular. When I was there, it was incredibly popular, and I'm sure with the movies it's even more popular. Is there any sort of plan to do any more expansion? Mm-hmm. Is it something that you're in the back of your brain, you know, maybe we might do a little more?
Yes and no. One of the goals of mine, I think, is that you've got to create something new every year and keep embracing or enhancing. And so, yeah, we have got future plans, and we'll continue to have those. But
I'm going to get specific. Is there any plans for a hotel or a place to sleep on the premises?
That would be telling. Those plans, I don't know what order and what things. We've had, look, I have a piece of paper that I call it my 13-stage plan, and there's always got to be 13 new ideas on it, and some disappear and some... So I'll have to find that bit of paper, but it sits in the filing cabinet somewhere, and now and again I pull it out, and who knows what the future. But from the Hobbiton movie set point of view overall, we've also got to keep it authentic and keep it real, and so that's what we're aiming to do. And there's not a lot of Hobbiton now as such is finished.
Sure.
It will be a case if we do too much more will be less. So there's not too much more to do in the set.
I got it. Thank you so much for your time, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Let me